Okay, this is a huge beginner guide to Google Classroom. I have not had any formal training in it at all. I really sat down with a coworker, Nikki Gill, last summer in August, and she's like, you got to use this to try it out. And I thought, okay, I will. And then the school year came around, and I really just started with one assignment. And that's what I'm going to suggest to you. It seems overwhelming, but it's so easy, and it's so, it has been really terrific for my classes and for kind of making my fourth grade experience paperless, okay? Because really, instead of making worksheets and putting assignments and things like that, your students can log in and get the assignment, watch the video, and turn in the assignment all in Google Classroom. So it really, it really does transform the way that you teach. And as we get more technology in our classrooms, for those of you in grades 3, 4, and 5, you have 6 extra Chromebooks in your classroom. So that adds really 12 pieces of technology that you have at your fingertips. So that's going to be great. So the big thing is using the Chromebooks for Google Classroom at this point. So the Chromebooks and the desktops are the way to go for this. But so let's talk about what it is. I'm not going to go through all of these individually, but I guess want to give you an overview. One of my favorite go-to people is Alice Keeler, and she says that Google Classroom is an online platform that allows you to streamline your process of going digital. You can share information if you want to share. We have a field trip coming up, or a reminder, parent-teacher conferences, don't come to school. All of those things can be shared in Google Classroom. And it works using docs, forms, slides, and spreadsheets. So, for example, today I put this together and I didn't bring any paper with me. It just was here. So I just logged into a computer and it's here for you. It never really goes away, and it can't really get lost. You're going to create your own Google Classroom today, and you're going to try making an assignment or an announcement, and I'm going to show you examples of what I've done in my classroom. So this is going to be basically what we're going to do. These are all the things that you can do with Google Classroom that I just kind of went over. You can see who's turned in the assignment and then who hasn't turned in the assignment. And that's been really helpful. When I make an assignment, I'll see 18 done and I'll see 2 not done right on my computer, and I can say, you know, Patrick, why is this not finished? So I can easily see who has turned in the assignment, who has not. One thing I really like about it is that it really, like Dana was talking about Drive is completely embedded in this. So anytime that they open up a document, it's right there. The students can kind of have trouble saying, well, they think they need to open up Drive first, but they really don't. The assignment is there, and they can go in to the assignment and start their answer in the assignment. They don't have to open up Drive in one window and go to Classroom in the other. It's all in one place. It allows them to see that I've sent them an assignment, and it also builds teamwork because they get to collaborate. And there's a comment section where students can say, hey, I really like the work that you did. So students can comment in live time and see what other students are doing. And so that's been really neat. So I'll show you that. But first, there's this little video. it's a 2-minute. Is that okay to just share that with you? Hopefully that it'll show. Maybe it won't. If you want to, you can click on this, but I don't know how to make this loud here, Chris. Is there any way to?
I don't know if sound is coming over the TV.
Well, we don't even need the sound. It's just music anyways. But this is just showing you what Classroom looks like in this really short video from Google. And I'll take you through these steps, but it's just showing you what you do and what it's going to look like on your screen. so I'm going to stop this here actually, because you can look at this yourself, but this is just showing you all the things that you can do, and this is, again, something you can come back to. All right, so let's start getting started with Google Classroom. When you get into Google Classroom, you can get into it by going over to your tiles. The tiles are that little grid in the top right-hand corner if you're just in your regular screen. And sometimes it's going to show up. It'll say more or even more. How many of you, if you click on your tiles, does it show Google Classroom? It's there? Oh, good, because a lot of even more. So if you do that now, you can go into Classroom if you have it. If you have never done Classroom before, you're going to need to go into this long little thing, or you can just go to Google and I just type in Classroom. Okay, I just type in Classroom when I'm in Google. So I'm just going to look and see where you are.
I have mine going.
Okay. And when you get into, if you want to, maybe we can go through this first so I can just show you, and then I'll show you an example of mine. So when you get into it, one of the really important things, this is really important, you must choose that you're a teacher, okay? If you choose that you're a student, you're going to have to go into, send a work order into like Google, and they'll have to change you. So when you sign in the first time, you're going to have to sign in as a teacher. Okay, so if it prompts you to do this, if you're already in, then you're fine. Yeah. But sometimes it'll give you this, and you have to say that you're a teacher. If you don't, if you say you're a student, then it's hard for you then to change your mind and go to teacher. So that's really important, and that's just, you know, for security. So when you go into Google Classroom, you're going to create a class, your first class. Is anybody getting this message right here? Create your first class. If you get into Google Classroom, there will be a little plus in the top right-hand corner. Okay? This is basically where you're going to create your class. And I would recommend when you create your class that you give it a specific name. Okay? For example, I teach ELA to 2 different classes in my building. Jason Mute's class and my class. So what I do, here's just a screenshot of my Google Classroom. And I have, like, I'm working with a student this summer, CJ. So this is our summer classroom. So if I do assignment with CJ, I just send it to him on our Google Classroom. Stacy Mayling is someone who, she is somebody who uses Google Classroom. So she's invited me as a teacher to share, to pop into her room and see, as a teacher, I can see what she's assigning to her class. There's Mary Beth Irvin's The In-Service should pop up. Everybody probably has their Google Classroom set up because Mary Beth already had you do this. So here are my science classes, here are my ELA classes. So I have different pages, and that's what yours is going to look like if you have multiple classes. I highly recommend you identifying your class as ELA or science. That way you can put all of your science examples or assignments into science, all of your ELA into ELA, social studies, writing, whatever. So that's how I like to do it, and I'm going to show you what mine looks like. Again, this is an example of one of my ELA assignments where we did a character study. And so if you look at this, this is what, I'll show you what it looks like. This is the top header, and this is one of my classes. So it's my ELA, this is my homeroom, and you'll notice that you have different topic or different kind of subjects at the top: stream, students, and about. When you get into creating a class, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself here.
maybe
Yes.
a tip,
Yeah.
and you had it on your class list.
Yep.
I recommend using the year
Oh, yeah.
because
Absolutely.
archive and all of those
Yep.
classes are folders in your drive.
Yep.
And so you can easily get confused.
Absolutely. You definitely want to put your year down as well. And so I put my room number, my year, and then I put on a couple of teachers just so they could see what I was doing. So let me just show you the stream tab. This is the one tab that is at the top, and this is where you're going to create and post and pose your questions and assignments. So when I look at my example of my ELA class, this is my stream tab, and I can look and see all of the assignments that I've assigned my students this year. Okay, so I can just, and again, it'll go all the way to the first one. So I didn't start doing this really until October. What does the main character, Allie, think of herself? And they responded, and I could see who was done and who was not done. And if I look at done, it shows me all of the students that I have, and then it shows me adding the letter grade. If this says here 100 points, I can simply change it to ungraded, or I can, like I grade things on a 1, 2, 3, or 4, so I just put 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that's how I do it. So not done, it would show you here who's not done.
Can the kids see each other's?
No, they cannot. Well, they can see each other's responses if you want. And most likely, if it's turned in, they can see each other's, no, they can't see each other's responses. They can see each other's comments. So if I go back to this, sorry, hold on. Here's the instructions. Hold on one second. So here's what they can see. They can talk to each other where we do comments. And so if I go back to this section where they're going to make a comment, right here, sorry, down here. Here are where the class comments are. So in their screen, it'll say add a comment, a class comment, and they can put that comment in. You can also mute students. So for example, say I want to mute this student. Right here, this little 3 dot, I can mute him and say your comment was inappropriate. And I've had to do that before. You have to mute students who say, hey, what's up? Or, you know, those kind of things where they go off task. You simply mute them. And once you do that, then they're not going to do it again. They want to be a part of the conversation. They want to exchange ideas with each other. So once you mute somebody, then they can no longer comment in this thread. It really is good. It's really effective when you mute somebody. Everybody else recognizes that boundary. Yes?
Can they mute each other?
No.
Okay, so it's different than the blog where they can flash
right.
someone.
Their screen looks different than mine, so they don't have this little 3 dot at all. Yes.
Okay, so if you asked for 2 paragraphs on that, they cannot see each other's 2 paragraphs, but they can
Right.
make a general comment
Yes.
on the question.
They cannot see each other's assignment unless they click the share button at the top. Just like a Google Drive assignment. It's going to look like a Google Drive assignment. So if I look at a student's assignment, let me just go to that really quickly. So for this
What are
one.
they commenting on if they can't read what someone posted?
Oh, so what they're commenting on is they're just giving me some ideas. I think the question was, why does the main character, or what does the main character, Allie, think of herself? This is for the Google, or for the Global Read Aloud. So they've all heard me read the story out loud. So Lewis says, I think that she's not smart. I think Allie thinks that she's not smart and can't read very well. So this was not a paragraph assignment. This was just a comment assignment. This was just them doing a thread of comments. But in another example, if I wanted to, let me think. Writing prompts. Okay. What do you think, writing prompt, what do you think will happen next? So for example, let me just look. So the writing prompt was, what do you think will happen next to Allie? Okay. She attached her Google Docs and this is what her response is. Okay, so this is not like a comment. This is her document. Okay, no one can see that except me. But if she wanted to share that with somebody, she could go right up, like Dana showed you, click the top right-hand feature and share with me. Okay, but that assignment itself is private. Yes?
And you said you can put a score of 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Is there a format where you just have you can see them all, like for a classroom, like where they list all their names alphabetically and just all
Yes.
the names are down?
So if you wanted to look at student work, let me just see something really quickly here. So you want to see all the grades for the students.
Snapshot.
Let me just see one of my, so here's like an informational essay. Hold on one second. Okay, here's an example. So I did a character study, and this was out of 4 points. So here are all my students on the left-hand side. It was out of 4. So you can see who got 4 out of 4, who got 4 out of 3. So it would show you the scores. This is a teacher screen only. This would not be a student screen. Yeah. And then you can copy all of the grades. See the little wagon wheel over here, the gear shift? You can copy all the grades to Google Sheets. So you can take it into Sheets, and I've done a little bit of this. I would suggest that you play around with it on an assignment, and you can put it as a spreadsheet. And then there are add-ons on the spreadsheet like Flubaroo, and that's a whole nother, like there are add-ons on your spreadsheet that you can do that would work. Yeah. All right, so let me just get back to the presentation a little bit because you're probably wondering, well, how do my students get into Google Classroom? And for me, the thing that I like to, there's the student tab that we just went through. So you're going to see when you have, you create your class is also in the stream, you're going to have a class code. And it'll be this short little series of letters and numbers. And that's what your students have to type in. And for me, this is the easiest way for them to do it rather than doing it by email. You can invite them by email. But for me, I just have my kids all have their Chromebooks out, all of them in front of a computer. And I say get into Classroom, and it'll say join a class, and it'll say student, and then they're going to have to enter in this class code. And I just simply write it on my whiteboard, that 6 character code. And that first time they do it, it's a little bit tedious, even with 4th graders. They're like, what? Because it's just hard for them to understand. But once they enter it in, they're always in that class. They don't have to enter it in again. Okay, they're in for the whole year, and that code is there. So that is something that when they go to Google and they go to Classroom, that's the code they have to enter. And then all of their emails will be in the student tab. So if I go back to my Classroom, and I go to my students, here are all the students that are in my class, and there are certain actions, so you can invite them to do something, but they're already in my class. You can email them if you wish. So if I wanted to email this particular student, I would click on that, and I would be able to send her an email. Okay, so you can directly email your students, but again, I don't really use that because anything that you want to say to your student in their document, for example, let me look here. So let's go to the character study. This is an example of the character study I wanted. I said choose a character from Me and Uncle Romy. Think about what are the character's actions, thoughts, and words. Write a paragraph with a description of the personality or character traits of the character you choose. Be sure to cite evidence that supports the traits that you mention. And so what I did is I attached a rubric to it, and then they turned in their assignments. So I'm going to just show you what one of the assignments is, and hopefully I commented on, and the grades are there as well. So I'm just going to open this up, and it shows that it's been returned. Sometimes they have to resubmit. So I'm going to see if I put any. Here we go. So I can put in a little comment on the side, just like Dana showed you, and I can give them a little bit of feedback. So I said, you give great evidence, go a step further and explain what the evidence shows or means. Okay, so I want that person to kind of take it a little further and explain their evidence. And then she can see that in real time, or she can look at that later if it's closed, and then go back and make any corrections. On her side, when she gets the assignment, it's hard for me to show the student side. I wish I had a student that I could show you, but the student side, they would click on the assignment, and once they click on the assignment, it would have an icon for them to just click on Drive, and it would just open up a Google Doc, a blank one, and that's how they do it. Do you have any questions about that, what I just showed you? Okay. Really the best thing that we can do is kind of fiddle around a little bit with this so that you can create your own class. I would recommend, like when we do this, is to think in your mind right now what class you would want to do this with. And my recommendation would be start really simple. Like maybe you want them to write about a favorite summer memory. You know, they're coming back to school, you want to do an icebreaker, or you want them just to have time to write. And so I would suggest, think about something right now in your mind that you would want your students to do on Google Classroom. Or if you're a specialist, maybe what was your favorite book this summer? Or what would you recommend that we would get in the library that you read over the summer that we haven't read? Or in music, you might want to ask what are some instruments that you would like to have in our music room, or what is a music video that you really love this summer. So think about something that you would want to post to your class that they could respond to. Okay. So everybody has Google Classroom right now. I included some extra slides from this great source in Massachusetts, and it goes through, and this is all here for you. Again, once you have this link, you'll be able to access all of these slides. Okay. I want to give you time to kind of go through this right now and do a little bit of playing around with it and see if you can create your class, make an assignment, and that way you have a little bit of time to do it. And I'll kind of pop in and see if I can help you.